Okay, students, now listen here. Today's topic is constructors. What is a constructor is? Constructor is nothing but, in a simple way, it is a method in a class, and the name of that method will be same as the class name. Okay, that is a constructor. So as you can see over here, in this is a program under the topic constructor. Okay, so there are two classes. The class box, which is consisting of some data information, you can see over here. So what is this is? This is a constructor. Basically this is a method. You all know a method will be followed by two parentheses, and its definition is over here, you can see. But this is known as constructor. Why? Because the name is same as the class name. Okay, this is same as the class name. So that is why it's a constructor. Okay, now there are some advantages of the constructors, okay, that we will see now. Okay, before going with the topic of constructor, okay, I will execute this program and I will show you the output. It's box demo 6. So already I have written the program. You can see this is the program which I have copied and pasted in my notepad. Okay, we will see the execution now. Now students, observe here. What is the name of the two classes, class box and box demo 6? Okay, we have to compile with the name what we have saved this. See here I have saved it with box demo 6.java. So I have to compile with the file name what I have saved it. So java c space box demo 6.java. Now after I compile, you see, observe here what is going to happen. So you all can observe here, after box demo 6.java has compiled, in the background there are two class files which have been generated for it. Why? Because you can see here in this particular program there are two classes. So if this file is free without errors, if it is without errors, so it will generate two dot class files which you can see here in the background. I hope you all have understood this. Now compile, run this program and see the output. Okay, constructing box and 1000. Okay, now students, you all please try to concentrate whatever I am going to explain now. Okay, so this is the output which is available here, which you have seen in the command prompt also. Now what will happen is the execution starts from box demo 6. Okay, inside this at line number 23 and 24, please observe this. Line number 23 and 24, class box, this is my box 1, this is an object which is allocated with the memory by new operator. Similarly my box 2 also, it is allocated with memory new. So what will happen, each and every time a new operator is encountered, what it will do is it will generate memory. Okay, so what is going to happen, okay, here for 23rd line, memory will be allocated to my box 1. I will draw this. I will draw the diagram. Okay, and that is allocated for my box 1. Okay, then after that is done, Similarly, at line number 24 you can see there is mybox2. Okay, even this one. So what is this is assigned for? mybox2. This is for mybox2, this is okay, and I'll write here what kind of object? Class box object this will be. Okay, this part I have already explained. Okay, just I am making you to get revised. So in this particular memory with mybox1 and mybox2, what actually will have is over here what it will contain? It will contain whatever is there in class box. So what class box is having actually? It is having, that is from line number 5 till line number 17, whatever is there, that will be allocated to the memory. It will be allocated in the memory, and that will be connected with mybox1. Similarly, then at line number 24 you can see mybox2. So whatever is there in class box, same thing will be provided with another memory that is allocated for mybox2. So mybox1 will have a separate copy of class box, mybox2 also will have a separate copy of class box. Okay, students, okay, please keep in your mind, this is what is actually going to happen with line number 23 and 24. mybox1, mybox2 will have the content of class box, that is from line number 5 till line number 17 in the memory. Like that it will happen. Now the next new thing is, please if you want to note down, you note down, as soon as this is what, this is a constructor. So when the compiler encounters this, it will invoke the constructor. So what is it is going to invoke? It is going to invoke this one. Okay, now so when it comes to line number 9, from this, the one which I have rounded, you all can see from line number 23, the one which I have rounded, it will come to line number 9, that is a constructor call. Now whatever is there inside line number 9, it has got something like 10, 11, 12, 13. So what is the 10th line? It is going to print some message. So you can see here constructing box. Then in the memory it will assign width, height, depth 10, 10, 10. Then it will come back at line number 24 from there. After that it will come back to line number 24. Okay, then you can see at line number 24 again you have got a constructor call. So same thing, it will call to the constructor. Now same concept it is going to display. So I hope you all can observe here, see this one, constructing box. I hope you all have understood. Now it will come back again in the box demo 6, which will be now at line number 25. At line number 25 there is just a variable declared. Then 27th line, mybox1.volume. So it will call to the method of volume which is available in the class box, okay, with the object as mybox1. So what it will do is, it will call mybox1, it will call this volume method, and it will calculate whatever is there, width, height and depth multiplied, and it will return it. It will return back to this 27th line. So vol will be equal to 1000. Now at line number 28 it will print this message. I hope you all have understood this. It is printing this. So same thing is with line number 30 and 31. I need not explain that. So now I hope you all have understood what actually is happening with the execution. This was very important, the one which I have explained now, 23 and 24, what actually is happening. Okay, now that is done. Now there are a few points you have to note down. You can listen. If you want to write roughly, you write it, otherwise it is already available in the textbook. So you can see here what actually is going to happen. So as I said, a constructor is nothing but it is method which will have the name as that of a class name. Okay, Now what it will do, a constructor initializes an object immediately upon creation, means this thing, it will initialize this, it will call this and it will initialize these things. Okay, then now you can see it has the same name as the class in which it resides and is syntactically similar to a method. As I said, it is a method only which has the name as that of a class name. Now once defined, the constructor is automatically called when the object is created before the new operator completes. Okay, before the new operator is complete, it will call as that thing only, means as soon as the memory will be allocated with all this content, before the content is copied here, it will, what it will do is this will call this thing. Okay, then now another point to remember and to observe, constructor look like strange because they have no return type, not even void. Okay, remember this point, this is very important. Constructors have no return type, not even void. So these are few points you have to remember and you have to write in your exam. What it will do, what is a constructor? It initializes an object immediately upon creation, it has the same name as the class in which it resides and is syntactically similar to a method. Once defined, the constructor is automatically called when the object is created before the new operator completes. And constructors looks a little strange because they have no return type, not even void. Okay, then I hope you all have understood this. Okay, now the next thing is parameterized constructors. Okay, students, one request you all from my side is whoever is means you students, whenever you are going to join in the meeting, you please join with your roll number. Okay, join with the roll number only, then I will permit you to enter. Okay, okay, then now parameterized constructor, it's very simple. It's box demo 7, right? Okay, now even this program I have copied, box demo 7, that is this program. Okay, I am not executing this program, please observe here, same concept. This is the output. So students, see here, what is the parameterized constructor? Just now what you have seen, the program, it was box demo 6, no? In box demo 6, with box demo 6 program, the class box was having one constructor, this one, without parameter, empty parameter list. But now with box demo 7, you are going to see the demonstration of parameterized constructor. I have already copied here, you all can observe here, the class box is having the constructor, you see at line number 9. Okay, line number 9. So that box has got 3 parameters, double, W, H, D. Okay, that is only parameterized constructor, that's it. Now what is the advantage with parameterized constructor is, okay, before you understand this, I already have explained one concept. Just look at where we are at page number 122, no? So before that, you all please go through this example I have already explained, adding a method that takes parameters. Okay, it will be helpful for you to understand parameterized constructors. Okay, I have already explained it. Now you all see here, what is the advantage with parameterized constructor and when compared with without parameterized. See here, in this particular line number 22, as this is in main class, box demo 7 is from where the execution starts. So at line number 22, as I said, this is a constructor call. Okay, this will call mybox1. mybox1 will have this constructor call, and it will call this. So mybox1 will have width, height, depth as 10, 20 and 15. Then at line number 23, mybox2 you can see mybox2 will call the constructor, and mybox2 will have width, height, depth as 369. Okay, so what is the advantage with this kind of parameterized constructor is you can have objects with different dimensions. Okay, whereas you see in this one, mybox1, mybox2, they are calling the constructors. Okay, so mybox1, mybox2, both of the objects will have width, height, depth as 10, 10, 10 only. Both of them will be of same dimensions. Whereas in parameterized constructor, you can have the box objects with different dimensions. One will be bigger box, some will be smaller box. Different dimensions you can have. This is the facility with parameterized constructor. Okay, and the other things are the same thing. I need not explain that. Okay, students, this is done, parameterized constructor. Now this keyword I have to explain you people. Okay, just wait for 1 minute. Yeah, just wait for 1 or 2 minutes, that's it. Okay, students, I have got now. I am going to share. See, students, today for right now these two topics I'll finish this, and after that, if time permits, I will explain the other topics also. You all can observe here. So what from where I have to start? That is this keyword. What is the purpose of this keyword? Okay, directly only theory is there in the textbook. You will not understand it if you read it by yourself. So for that one, I want to explain this with an example which is available here on the internet. So students, observe here. Observe this particular program. In this particular program, you have got class student, like that in our programs from textbook we have got class box. No, over here it is class student. Now class student has got the constructor student. You can see this is a constructor. Okay, only names are different. Concept will be that thing only. Now you all please observe here. You can see this is a constructor call. Okay, for the object S1. For the object S1, this is a constructor call. So what are the parameters for S1? 111 Ankit 5000. So that will be passed here. So now these roll numbers will be having the values 111 Ankit 5000 for S1 object. Then same thing for S2 object. triple double 1 2, that is 112, Sumit 6000. Okay, for S2 this roll number name fee will be 112, Sumit 6000. Okay, that is done. Now after this, you see here S1 dot display, when it calls this, it should display the details of student 1. When S2 calls this, it should display the details of student 2. Okay, now when I am going to scroll down, you all please observe here what it is giving. It is giving no value, it is giving 0 null 0.00, sorry 0.0. So what is the concept behind this is, the actual thing is, you see here, you can see this keyword can be used to refer current class instance variable if there is ambiguity between instance variables and parameters. This keyword resolves the problems of ambiguity. Like see here, apart from this program, I will show you the next program. You all observe here. See, same concept, only here the difference is here in the next program below. You all please observe here. What is this? The variables of this class student are this dot roll number, this dot name, this dot fee. Okay, so this local variables are with this keyword. Okay, so what is the thing is, actually, if suppose the instance variables and the local variables are same, like this, these are the local variables and these are the instance variables. Okay, if both of them are same, what will happen is there will be, that is, sorry, this one and this one, if both of them are same, there will be an ambiguity of the compiler. Okay, these two are different things under Java. For Java, these two are different things. Okay, so if you are not going to provide this, this keyword, so the Java compiler will be in an ambiguous means confusion. So ambiguity will occur, confusion will occur. Okay, so when you are going to call now to this display method, it will not understand which variables to get display. So that is why it will give you the output as 0 null 0. So in order to remove this kind of confusion, what you should provide with instance variables is, you should provide with this keyword. So now what will happen, when this parameter values are passed to this, okay, when they are passed here, so this dot roll number will now receive 111 from this. This roll number will pass here the value to this dot roll number. Similarly, this dot name, this dot fee also will receive. So when you are going to call s1 dot display, now what this will do is, it will display you the values from this, the one which I have rounded, this one. So by this, the compiler will not have any ambiguity if you are going to use this keyword, if the instance variables and local variables are same. So remember students, if the local variables and instance variables are same, so at that time you should use this keyword. That is the concept. I hope you all have understood this. See here, this keyword can be used to refer current class instance variable if there is ambiguity between instance variables and parameters. Okay, so this keyword resolves the problem of ambiguity. So you should use, these are the parameters, okay, and this is what the instance variables. If both of them are same, you should go for this keyword, like this in the next program. See, instance variable is with this keyword. So now it will not have any confusion. I hope you all have understood this. Okay, Mudassir, any doubt? If students, if you are having any doubt, you just please give me a message. See, one student is having, why are we writing this here? because these are the parameters which are going to receive these values. These are different variables. Okay, these variables are this one. Okay. Now then you can see here sometimes a method will need to refer to the object that invoked it. To allow this, Java defines this keyword. This can be used inside any method to refer to the current object. Now students, one more thing, suppose you don't want to use this keyword. I hope you all have understood till here. Suppose you are not going to use this keyword, what you do is you just change it here. Yes, Mujtaba, you are having one doubt, no? See here, this particular program is also giving you the output. So what is the difference here? See, this parameter constructor call will pass these values to these. RNF will receive 111 Ankit 5000. Now over here this roll number, name, fee are what? This instance variables. So now they are different. So when if they are different, no, that is this one, that is this parameter variables and this instance variables are different, there will be no ambiguity. See, it is displaying this instance variables, this one, roll number, name, fee, it will display here. So if you are going to have different names, that is to the parameters and to instance variables, there will be no ambiguity. But if you want to write with same name, then you should use this keyword. Okay, one student have asked me, I hope your doubt is cleared. So you just see here, sometimes a method will need to refer to the object that invoked it. To allow this, Java defines this keyword. This can be used inside any method to refer to the current object. This can be used inside any method to refer to the current object. That is this thing. This are referred to this S1. S1 is having this dot roll number, this dot name, this dot fee now as Ankit 5000 Okay students, that is this is always a reference to the object on which a method was invoked. You can use this reference anywhere, a reference you can use this anywhere as a reference to an object of current class type, which is permitted. I hope you all have understood. Next concept is instance variable hiding. Students, please look here, this is very, very important. I am explaining this with this example. See here students, you just see the output. Value of instance variable is 10 and local variable is 40. Okay, I will execute otherwise, don't worry. It is executed only. Okay, see here students, in this particular program there are two classes, class test and use test. Which is the main class? Use test. Okay, now you all see here what actually is happening here. In the first line, obj1 object is created. After that you all see obj1 dot method. Okay, obj1 dot method is a function call to this method in class test. So when this is called, you all please observe here, in class test there is one variable value which is with access specifier as private variable value which is equal to 10 now, and inside the method there is one more variable with same name as the value 40. So now there are two variables, you all observe here, this is what instance variable and this is known as local variable. Okay, so what actually will happen is, you see here this dot value, sorry, only value, what this value is giving you over here, it is giving this 40. Okay, it's taking lot of time for me to give the output. It's taking time. Or else no problem, I will execute in my program. You all see here, okay, it has given the output 1040. But now you all see here, what I will do, I will modify this. See here, this dot value is there, no, I am going to remove this dot value, I am removing this keyword. Now what will happen, you all see here, I am running this program. See here, even instance variable is now displaying 40. Means what actually is happening in this program is, though you want to represent instance value, instance variable value, but what will happen is this method will hide instance variable if you are not using this keyword here. Okay, that is the thing. If you want to display this value equal to 10 inside the method, then you should go for this dot value. Otherwise, if you are using only value, it will display the local variable, it will not display the instance variable. So this is what is instance variable hiding. I hope you all have understood. Anyone having any doubt can ask me. Okay students, now the next concept is garbage collection. It's very important concept. This might be asked for 3 marks also. Let us, in 17th question for external they have asked this. Okay, many times they have asked. Yeah, student asking me, can we use class variables in constructor parameters? Yes, you try that. Okay, then now the next topic for today's class is the last topic, garbage collection. Okay, after that we will move with the next chapter, that is the chapter number 7. Okay, what is garbage collection is, this is very important. See here, as the name itself, garbage collection means collecting garbage. So in Java there is one mechanism, garbage collection, which will be automatically implemented. What is that you will be seeing here? See, since objects are dynamically allocated by using new operator, okay, you might be wondering how to remove that allocation of the objects with the memory. Means in C++ language you all might have observed this, that is after you allocate memory to any object, okay, what you have to do is you will write some code, and at last you will write one delete operator also. What is that is, after the memory is allocated to that object, and whatever the code is there, it will be implemented, and after that program is finished, what you want to do, you have to release that memory also, okay, which was used by that object. So what you will do, you will write the delete operator also. So this is done manually in C++, means you will have to free the memory also at last, okay. But whereas in Java you need not write the delete operator, okay. You assign memory to the object, and what will happen later on, that deallocation of the memory, just a second. So as I was saying that deallocation is manually in C++, whereas in Java you need not deallocate manually. Okay, that will be handled by the concept as garbage collection. Okay, so you will see here the first point, since objects are dynamically allocated by using new operator, you might be thinking, you might be wondering how such objects are destroyed and their memory is released for later allocation. Like in some languages like C++, allocated objects must be manually released by using delete operator, whereas in Java it takes a different approach. It handles allocation for you automatically. Okay, the technique is called garbage collection. Okay, it works like this. How it will work? See, when no reference to an object exists, that object is assumed to be no longer needed. Okay, means the garbage collection, what it will do is, it will keep on checking the memory. If it finds some objects which are not used frequently, so it will understand that the purpose of this object is finished. So garbage collection will remove that object from the memory. Okay, so there is no explicit need to destroy the object as in C++. Explicit means manually, you need not do it manually. Okay, so till here it is fine. Till here it is fine for you all to remember the point. Okay, this is enough for garbage collection. Now the last one is finalize method is also there. Okay, what is finalize method is, okay, it is also very simple. See here, before garbage collection has to be implemented, means before any object has to be destroyed, if there are some mechanisms to be done, to be implemented, okay, that will be implemented. After that is done, then the garbage collector will destroy the object. Like for example, I think you have learned the concept of file handling in C language. Okay, you will open the file by using some method like fopen. At last also you have to close it also, no, by fclose, like that. Suppose you have opened a file and you have created objects to it. Okay, now after you have created objects, then you will write some data in the files, you will read some data in the files, all those things. Okay, now you will delete the object also, but before deleting you have to close the file. So similar to that, Java programs also, some Java programs will have the files to be opened. Okay, the objects in the Java, the objects will have some files which are open. Okay, now when garbage collection sees that particular object is no longer used now, so it will destroy that object. But before destroying the object, you have to write the code in finalize method that whatever the files are open with that particular object should be closed. After that files are closed, you can destroy. So that concept you have to write in finalize method. Means before the object gets destroyed by garbage collection sees that there is a finalize method. So inside finalize method, the files will be closed. That is closing of the files, that code will be written in finalize method. After that is implemented, then the garbage collection will be implemented. Now you can see, if an object is holding some Java, non-Java resources such as a file handling or character font, then you might want to make sure these resources are freed before an object is destroyed. To handle such situations, Java provides a mechanism called finalization. Okay, by using finalization, you can define specific actions that will occur when an object is just about to be reclaimed by garbage collector. Okay, this is the syntax. Protected, void, finalize. Here you have to write the code of closing the files which are opened with a particular object. I hope you all have understood this. Any doubt you can ask. Others can join the next class by moving out from here.